Building a Shore Kit is brought to you by Brewer Agri Outdoors.
Whether you're getting back into it or just getting started with fishing, it can be pretty overwhelming trying to figure out what tackle to use and what you should have on hand. Despite what you see on TV, most of the fishing done in the US is actually done from shore. So today, we're going to go through and build a simple, affordable, and yet effective tackle box that you can take on shore and catch fish with. Let's start things off with some terminal tackle, and this includes a few sizes of split shot, egg and walking sinkers, snaps, snap swivels, and if you're going to go after toothy critters like pike, get some steel leaders. And then having a few sizes of Aberdeen hooks, which we have found to be pretty versatile. Next is pick up a few bobbers in different sizes and styles. If you're going to fish shallow, your standard spring bobber will do the trick. But slip bobbers will allow you to fish in almost any depth. And if you're going to pick up some slip bobbers, make sure you grab some beads and bobber stops and you're good to go. Now that we have all of our terminal tackle together, let's take a look at jigs. The two main types are floating and sinking jigs, and as you can see here, they come in a wide array of sizes and colors, so a good starting point is to pick out a couple of sizes and a handful of colors. When fishing with floating jigs, live bait is the way to go, but when fishing with sinking jigs, plastics are also a good option, so let's take a look at some things to consider. For panfish and trout, small plastics that imitate the critters in the water are a good starting point. But if you want to go after larger fish like bass, pike, and walleye, a handful of curly tail grubs and paddle tails are the way to go. And don't be afraid to go with some larger plastics like this big swim bait and stickworm, which can be used on a jig head or a plain hook, regardless of how weedy it is. So now that we've got the basics covered, let's take a look at a few things that aren't necessary but are well worth the look. When picking out crankbaits for shore fishing, we first like to start with floating crankbaits, then move to suspending crankbaits, which don't sink or float when you stop reeling them, and finally countdown crankbaits, which sink roughly 1 foot per second until you start reeling them in. It doesn't matter what shape or size your crankbait is. What matters is that you know how they work and what they do underwater, like this floating, deep diving shad bait that rattles. The final kind of crankbait is a lipless crankbait, which can be casted a long way and once in the water will sink, but when you retrieve it, it will come straight to you. Spoons are often overlooked and considered old school, but still get the job done for almost all species. So pick out the size, shape, and color that you think will work best for the fish you're targeting. Now the last thing to consider are spinners. Whether it's an inline spinner like this or a classic spinnerbait like this, having one or two in your tackle box is well worth it. So now that your tackle box is all ready to go, here's the last things you'll need. A bucket, a few rod holders, and then an affordable rod and reel with 6 to 10 pound test line depending on what size fish you want to catch. And now, all you have to do is go fishing.